Hi everyone, I'm Faye and welcome to day 4 of our 5-day Nature Play Challenge. So today is all about creating a semi-permanent structure to facilitate independent play. So what does that mean? So that basically means something in your garden, most likely, or it could be something like a den that you make if you're out and about. But if we think specifically about your garden, what can you provide tools and resources to your children for them to create something and change, leave, develop, play with in your space, or for you to create something for them to play in that space as well. So the first thing that I think about is creating some sort of mud kitchen. So we've got one here, so you can pick these up online through a lot of different places, or you can create some yourself. So it's quite a simple structure really, and as long as you've got something, pots and pans, we have utensils from inside that we no longer are using, and then the idea is that they can use mud, they can use leaves, flowers, berries, things like that. Obviously be mindful about what they're using, and if there's anything that's particularly dangerous, like as I mentioned the other day, rhubarb leaves and things like that, be mindful about educating them about the dangers of those. But otherwise it's about letting them have their own space, that every day that they come out into the garden they can go straight to. They know it will be the same day in, day out, and they can do things with it, they can paint it if they want, they can add to it. And if you can't have a space like this, if it's too big, or you'd rather make something a bit smaller or a bit cheaper, in its simplest form, before we brought this, we actually just had things again from our kitchen. So this cupcake tray was already getting a little bit rusty, so we weren't going to use it anymore. So we thought about bringing it outside, and you can see he's been putting little balls that we have all around the garden, some leaves, some mud, and pine cones and things. So you can just have this, a few pourers, a few shakers, and you can just have that in maybe in a box or in a corner of your garden, that your child knows that's where they can go and they can get some of their toys, and they don't have to be all plastic toys and all things like that. Talking about plastic though, if you saw my post the other day, you'll know one thing that I do encourage, and that is reusing plastic things from around the house when you can. And something that we have actually got and we use in water play, we use in painting, and we use in mud kitchens are these spray bottles. So these are perfect for hand-eye coordination, for fine motor skills, for a lot of different things. And we use them in the mud kitchen. It can act as something to add the water to it, and squeezy bottles as well. I'm sure you all have some of these, so it's all good fun. So as I said, if you haven't got a big version, something like this, you can very easily create your own at home. So what about other structures? So have you got any, or could you buy some guttering or some drain pipe? So if you've got one of these, that's great. See if you can give it to them. What can they do with it? Can they angle it on some rocks? Does it then act as something that facilitates gravity play? So we could pour water down it, or we could roll our car toys down it, we could roll stones down it, things like that. Could we have another one angled there and it facilitates it going on, down and down? What about the sounds that it makes? So see if you can pick up some of that, or if you've got some in your own garden already, that's perfect. How about some wood? Okay, so we can either have sticks, big sticks in the garden, or trees that produce big sticks, even better, or wood. So they can either use this to do things like den building, and obviously, help them with it, make sure that it's safe, and make sure that there's no sharp edges. Obviously splinters, might happen, but you don't want anything like nails, basically. So, like I said, they can facilitate den building. What about they could help build, stack it, stack towers one day, the next day they might decide to make it into a little shop front, use some stones that they've got, build it up, make it into, like I say, a little shop. Can they light on the ground? Can they make it into a railway? Put their trains along it? So again, just pieces of wood, however big or small, or sticks, are perfect for facilitating some of their own independent play and open-ended play. So give that a go, and I'm going to show you just a couple of other areas in my garden where we've set up ideas that they can have to do some independent play. So something else that you can hand over a bit of independence to your child and get them really engaged in nature is actually if you have a veg bed with them. So we've got this vegetable bed and it's growing really well. We've got tomatoes, we've got some beans, and we've got pumpkins. And our son helped with the planting of the seeds in smaller containers. We did a video of that a month or two back. And once they're that size, once they've grown, you can then plant them out. And it's actually giving some of that responsibility to your child for them to do the watering, turn the earth, check on it. And then also, our son really gains a lot from seeing the peas already. He loves the taste of fresh peas. If you haven't tried them, you need to. You know, seeing the whole development from seed to our plate basically, and it gives that control to them and facilitates that learning and understanding about where our food comes from. So another thing that can facilitate having their own responsibility within your garden is having something like a bird table or bird feeders. So it could be, we've got this structure that my husband created out of some poles that we had. It doesn't have to be like this, it can just be something that's hanging off a tree. But if you can get them to help with putting the seeds in, it becomes their job, their responsibility, and then they get to see what birds are coming to the bird feeder as well, and seeing the wildlife, maybe recording that in a journal, maybe even drawing it and getting the art involved as well. And again, like I said, that really helps with their responsibility and what they're contributing to the garden, and understanding who lives in the garden, what wildlife is living there.
So we did fairy gardens when we brought the outside in, but how about creating a permanent fairy garden within your outside space? So we've done that actually with painted rocks here, and we have a few of them dotted around our garden that we can move. If guests come, children come, my son likes to hide them, and they can go and hunt for them in different areas. But it's also something that he can bring his fairies outside and use that, like we did the other day, bringing the outside in as a little fairy garden, but as a permanent one that he knows is always there, and he can always create a scenario and role play and play around there as well.
So I just thought I'd take you on a short tour of our garden, just so you can see some of the pathways that we've created that actually, whilst they look really nice, they can also facilitate some open-ended play for the children as well. So come along and see.
So down here you can see that we've actually got a brick path. It might look really pretty, but it's also designed so that you can bring out some crayons and you can do some crayon drawing. You could even write numbers down or letters. And also it's basically my son will just always run up and down here. When it was building, we used it as a digger area, but now it's complete. It is the perfect place to run around. We've got our vegetable bed, as we've already said. That's somewhere that they can look after and take responsibility for. We've got a lot of different areas in the garden with different colours in as well. That's really important if you guys can add colour to your garden. If we bring it down here, you can see we've got a little seating area, and then we've got this area where we've got somewhere where they can hop, jump and skip. So they can jump, they can colour them in. My son's coloured them in with water. And then we've got a little pond area. My son likes to come check if the frog is out. But also we've actually got, if you can see here, this is a little area that we've created for him. He likes to come and read here. He also likes to come eat berries here and just have a bit of his own time, to be honest. It's a bit of a quiet space for him. But actually, it's not just that. When these plant pots aren't here, if you can see, we've got the sleepers, and whilst it's a feature of the garden, it's also somewhere that he can walk along like a bit of a balance beam. So what we've done is we've incorporated things into our garden that, whilst they look nice, they're designed for walking or for holding back plants and soil and things like that. They're also somewhere that my son can run along, he can jump off, he can create play areas within there. We've already shown a few days ago how they can bring the outside in and incorporate some of that space, some of the borders that we used with the dinosaur play. So there's quite a lot of options really. So have a think about your garden. Is there anything that you could add into it to give height, to give facilitate that play kind of environment with wood or with some stones, some pebbles or some pathways and things? What can you do that you will be happy with but actually will also encourage some of that play and exploration outside? So it'd be great to see what you guys have been getting up to. So don't forget to tag us at Nature Makers or hashtag 5-Day Nature Play on Instagram or Facebook. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them down here and we will try and answer them as soon as possible. Bye!